Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Line Stepper. I'm Coach Gene Clemens, and thank you to all of my patronies out there, all of the patrons that are over here. And shout out to you people out here on X and on Facebook and on YouTube that are joining me from my pages right now. Figured I would do a free one of these. Normally these goes to my subscribers on Patreon, patreon.com/line stepper. So if you guys like what you hear, if you've liked my freebie picks, by the way, we are 13-7 on the freebie picks. So I hope you like the freebie picks. They've been hitting at a crazy clip right now. So um, definitely something that you want to check out and support. Doesn't cost you a lot. I always say this: if you are able to take one of my freebie picks per month and win off of it, then it's worth a subscription to the Patreon, because everything else from there is gravy. You're already getting something for free. Now you can go and get a little bit extra. And as I continue to roll on and we say goodbye to football, it'll be more and more basketball on related content, because you know how it goes. Like, this thing's just ratchet up as we transition from football season to basketball season. Somebody was asking me the other day, hey, why do you not give out football picks on your Line Stepper? I said, well, it's not that I don't want to give out football picks. It's just that I give out football stuff in every other thing that I'm doing, that basketball just felt like the perfect place to start with Line Stepper at. But by the time we get to 2026 in the football season, my Line Stepper will be going through college football, NFL football, NBA, college basketball, baseball. It'll be nonstop. So all of the sports that I love and I feel like I can handicap really well will be sports that I frequent, which means that you will have a reason to be subscribed to patreon.com/line stepper all season, all year, not just during football season or during basketball season. Anyway, I want to recap our free pick of the day. I gave this out probably an hour and a half ago. Michigan, Minnesota, 73.5 points at halftime. If a lot of you have followed me or followed my freebie picks, you know that I like to go with halftime picks. And you might ask yourself, well, why halftime picks? And the reason is simple. A lot of times when you see an angle on a team, you have to decide whether or not that team comes out fast or whether or not they pick it up in the second half. Now, I can tell you one of the trends that I'm seeing this season is that a lot of these teams play tough in the first half, and then in the second half kind of loosen up the defense, and you see extravagant numbers in the second half, but it's hard to predict those extravagant numbers. And the odds makers are on to the second half. So by the time they get the first half information, the second half stuff that they put out there for people who like to live bet or like to wait until halftime to bet, a lot of that information the odds makers have figured out. And now they've adjusted that line. So that it's more advantageous for them. So I like to a lot of times stay on the front end of things and hit them at the first half. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it don't. If you're following and you've been following along on the freebie picks, it works out a lot, right? Again, 13-7 on the freebie picks this year. Like, if you're talking about winning money, you're going to win money going 13-7, right? That's just known. So Michigan, Minnesota, for me, Michigan has come out like gangbusters versus every team that they faced this year, especially over the last 6 games, that last 6-game sample where they've just been mollywopping legitimate Power 4 teams that are going to be in the tournament as like 5 seeds and 6 seeds and maybe even 3 seeds in some cases, right? They've been just handling these teams, and now you get them taking on a Maryland team who hasn't found their foot and hasn't found their way. Michigan exploits it because Michigan has that great combination. We saw this out of those UConn championship teams, right? We saw it to a certain extent out of Florida last year, but not as much. I think last year was just kind of anomalous and it was open to a lot of teams. But we saw it out of that UConn. When a team can run up and down the court and score with the best of them, but then they can hold you defensively without a score for several possessions, it makes it really hard to beat them. And eventually you just choke yourself out and get blown out. Sometimes this happens early, sometimes it happens late. What I know Michigan's going to score. They have every way in the world to score. Shout out to Dusty May. We know that he could do that from back in the FAU days. The one thing he has with Michigan that he did not have at FAU is better players, right? It's not even like a diss. He has deeper pockets so he can go out and get better players, guys who have an ability to do the things that he wants to do on a regular basis. So that's one of the biggest things that I can see right now as a reason why Michigan's having such success. So I expect them to be 40-plus points in the first half. Why? Because they're always 40-plus points in the first half. And there's two things that are going to happen. Either Maryland's going to come along for the ride and put up their 30-something, or they're going to get held down in the 20s, which means Michigan's probably going to be 50-something in the first half. That has been the way it has worked when they have played these Power 4 teams that don't know how to figure it out. They go for 50-plus to 20-something or 50-plus to 30-something. I even like the first half run line. But the first half over is what I really, really like in this game. It's 11:44 a.m. right now on the East Coast. Whatever time it is, y'all know that we are 15 minutes away from tip-off from these first games of the day. Let me give you a couple things that I like on these 12 o'clock matchups. St. John is playing Iona. Iona is traveling to the Garden to play St. John's. You might think to yourself, well, that's not really a far trip for Iona, right? But Iona plays terrible on the road. They always play terrible on the road. I don't know why they're so bad on the road, but they're significantly different on the road than what they are at home. And so we have to take advantage of that. This line is 28.5 points for the full game, right? That's a lot. That's a lot. You never know when they might turn it off. I don't expect St. John's to turn it off, but you never know. The over in this game is 159.5. You can find it plus or minus a point in your different places, wherever you might be at. I love St. John's and the over at halftime, right? I think that both of those things have a really good chance of hitting, because I just think St. John's comes out, blitzkriegs them. Iona can make threes, so I expect them to be able to put up a little bit of fight, but it'll just be almost like a 5 points to every 3 points or 6 points to every 4 points, and just you'll see St. John's just pull away. I can even see like a spurt where Iona doesn't score and St. John's just goes up by 10, 11 really quick and then just continues to work it. I wouldn't be surprised to see St. John's up by 20 points at halftime. I believe that game is at 14 or 16 at half, if I'm not mistaken, probably 16, somewhere around there. The other big spread that I love in this 12 o'clock slot is the Miami game. Miami 36.5. I like them at 18.5 at halftime. I think they'll be up by 20. They're playing Louisiana Monroe, who is not good and has not put up much of an effort versus any type of team who likes to put the ball in the basket. We know that Miami will not only put the ball in the basket, but they play defense as well. 2 games at 12 o'clock that I really like. I really like Michigan State to beat Penn State. I like them at half for the 5.5. I like them at the full game, 11.5. The Arkansas-Texas Tech game, I like going over at the half. I believe that number is 75. Where I played it at, Florida State, Massachusetts is interesting. I think Massachusetts has a chance to cover this 12.5 line versus Florida State, even though they are technically at Florida State, but they're not at Florida State. They're at the Amerirand Bank Arena in Sunrise, Florida, which is not Tallahassee, right? So technically a neutral site. Florida State hasn't been shooting the best, so it's not like they're at home being able to shoot on home rims. Massachusetts has a really good coach. They follow him very well, and I think this is an opportunity for them to cover that 12.5. So I like that as well. Sliding up to the 2:00 games. 2:00 games have some interesting matchups of teams that you may or may not follow. And here's what I will tell you. And this is something that I give to everyone. If you're trying to make money, don't try to follow every single conference in the world, because you're just going to be overloaded with information. You'll never know enough about the teams in order to make informed decisions. You want to find those conferences that have that we just know that because the regular human being doesn't follow them, Vegas probably doesn't follow them as closely as well, and therefore you get some things where they don't exactly know, right? They don't exactly know what it is they're doing when they're handicapping these teams. And so look to your Big Sky conferences, look to your Missouri Valley conferences, look to the MAC, the MAAC, right? Like, look at these of the Horizon League, right? The conferences that make up the FCS in football are a lot of really good conferences to bet on, because once you figure out who the power is in those conferences and how those teams play, you can be one step ahead of the bookies. So just something to think about when you're out here trying to put these things together. The 2:00 slate, I'll give you one from 2:00. I can't give you everything, right? I can't give you all of the sauce. And it's not 2:00, it's 2:30. We've got Florida playing George Washington. It's a good matchup. Florida versus George Washington. George Washington 8-3 this season. Florida 5-4, but still ranked 18th. The line in this game is 13.5. The over 164.5. Now, we know that while George Washington has been out here playing randos like Delaware, William and Mary, Army, Murray State, Middle Tennessee State, Florida's been out here playing killers, like legitimate championship contending teams. They lost to Connecticut by 4 points. They lost to Duke by 4 points. They lost to TCU by 4 points. They beat Providence by 12 points. This is a team that's much better than that 5-4 record would lead you to believe, and George Washington's about to find out. This game, minus 13.5. I like it at the half. I think Florida will be up by at least double digits. I like it for the full game. I think Florida comes out in this game in Sunrise, right? In Sunrise, the same place that Florida State's playing. And I think that they come out and they make a point, right? Hey, don't take these losses as us not being good. Take these losses as us challenging ourselves early in the season. I think they'll do that. I think Florida covers at 13.5. Mighty easy. Mighty easy. Move on over to the, to a 4:00 matchup. Illinois and Nebraska, the over/under 157.5 in that. I think this game has a beautiful opportunity to be an over game, especially at halftime. Remember, these games that are at 150-something points, even sometimes 160 points, in the first half, you can get them somewhere in the 70-point, the 70-some-odd point range. So it's great value to try to get. Now, Nebraska plays decent defense, but Illinois is long. They're athletic. They're foreign. They shoot threes. They're at home, right? These things matter. In Champaign, Illinois is an 11.5-point favorite. While I don't know if they're 11.5 points better than Nebraska, matter of fact, I don't think they are 11.5 points better than Nebraska. So I like Nebraska to cover that. I really like this over. I really like this over. I think that the over in this game is one you should take advantage of. I wouldn't be surprised to see this game in the one, like the mid 160s, high 160s, 80 something to 80 something type of game where Nebraska either loses or pulls one out late. I think Illinois is vulnerable in that way. And even if Illinois is able to win the game outright, I think it just looks like an OSU did. You know, Illinois beat Ohio State 88-80. I think that's what it looks like. I don't think there's a double-digit win in here for Illinois. I like the way Nebraska handled Wisconsin and Wisconsin's pace just recently. I think that they'll do the very same thing on the road versus Illinois. They'll hold up well. This is a over game and a game that I like Nebraska in. I'm going to move over to some evening games, and I'll leave you with this for the 5-pack. Let me slide over to my records and give you the big games, right? The big games. Arizona, Alabama. Arizona plays defense, right? They try to be one of those teams like Michigan where they'll D you up and they'll score on you. They got Alabama. We know Alabama knows how to score, right? The question is, can Alabama score enough to keep Arizona like under 100 points, right? Because when Alabama normally loses, they normally lose to a team that can outscore them. They lost 87-80 to Purdue. They lost 95-85 to Gonzaga. They've lost to teams who have an ability to score more points playing their style of play. I think Arizona can play their style of play. They can D up, right? And within there, they can make life pretty darn hard for Alabama. They can make life really difficult for Alabama. This is a coin flip game, right? It's a coin flip game. It's Arizona minus 1.5. So, I mean, it could go either way. The thing that I like that this is in Birmingham, Alabama, which means this isn't Alabama playing on their home rims at their home court. Will they have more fans there? Probably, right? But will they have the advantage of the court and the rims and the comfortability with the shooting angles and what they see in the backdrop? No, they won't. This will be very even for them. I like Arizona to win this game outright. And I like for them to attack this over, even at 178 points. I like for them to attack the over. I think it'll be close, right? I think it'll be close. But I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised to see this game end up at a high 80s, even a 90-something to 80-something type of score, or a 90-something to 90-something score. I just think in the end, Arizona will be on top. So give me Arizona, minus the 1.5 and the over in the game. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, thank you for joining me on Line Stepper. Go to patreon.com/Line Stepper for all my freebie people out there. For everybody on Patreon, thank you as always for being loyal patrons. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Come on over, subscribe. Help me to be able to do this on a more regular basis. I love it. And until next time, continue to be a Line Stepper.